Welcome. In this module, we're going to talk about how is security validation actually performed. Now, as we know, security validation is a very important activity because it helps to check that the security controls that were supposed to be implemented by IT team have actually been implemented. Now, the important point here is that the ownership of security validation lies with the information security team. Alternately, with an information security consultant, and that obviously depends on the nature of the project and the nature of the organization. So is this being driven by the information security team internal to the organization, or is there an external consultant helping the security team? So this also may be driven by an information security management committee. And if you recall, information security management committee is the core committee which handles the day-to-day tasks in an information security transformation program. Okay? And because information security team primarily has the ownership, it becomes very important for information security team to make sure that the check is performed in a proper manner. Now, security validation is the same irrespective if performed specific to the 8-step security hardening model. And if you remember, we have the validation activity in the 8-step security hardening model, or in the information security lifecycle. And we've already seen in the previous modules the information security lifecycle. So this is the graphic showing the 8-step methodology for security hardening. And security hardening is the first step, the starting point, and the first step in our information security transformation model, a very, very important stage. Now, in this model, the third point is checklist of applicable controls. And here what we're doing is that we're developing, after the research in step number 2, and after, in fact, identifying the assets, the critical assets in step number 1, we are in a position to decide, are we going to take the CIS controls or the DISA controls, or are there some other controls? And we make a checklist of those controls in step number 3. Now in step number 6, what we're doing is that we are validating or checking that the controls have actually been applied in the test environment, in this case, because it's the security hardening model that we're talking about, which is stage number 1 of security hardening model. And this step number 6, validation of control implementation, is being done after the implementation of controls in the test setup. And it's the test setup, if you recall. So this is the table that we have seen when we were talking about the 8-step security hardening methodology. And here, just to recall, the checklist of applicable security controls is performed by the information security team. They put together the checklist, and it's facilitated by IT. And the validation is performed also by information security team, and it's facilitated by IT. Now, this is the actual 5-step security validation sequence. As you see, we have decide scope, study the controls, conduct the review, remove the errors, and confirm the validation. A very simple 5-step sequence. Now, in step number 1, decide the scope. What we have to do here is acquire the checklist of applied controls from IT team. So, we develop the checklist, give it to IT, and they're supposed to fill out a column saying which controls they have applied and which controls they have not applied, and the justification for not applying a control, which was in the checklist. So, for example, the CIS Windows Server 2012 STIG, and rather the benchmark, security benchmark, may have around 200 controls. So in the checklist, there will be 200 rows, one for each of the controls. Then we decide the stakeholders who will conduct the review, and this is from IT and information security team both. So representative members from information security team who will conduct the review, and there will be some representatives from IT team who will conduct the review, and they will jointly conduct the review. And then you schedule the review and send the formal email to IT, and you send them a calendar invite and inform the respective managers as well. Then it's time to study the controls, because information security team acquires the original control sets, if it's CIS or DISA or some other benchmark that we have developed, and study and understand the controls. And it's important to go into depth and really understand each control that you're going to have to go and check. mark the checklist and ensure the correctness. And we just make sure that the checklist that came back from IT team was complete and is matching, let's say, the CIS or the DISA benchmark or STIG. And then you prepare the docs and notes for the actual review, and we are ready now to conduct the review in step number 3. So here, one person from information security team is recommended to conduct the review and one to take notes. There's a walkthrough of each control which is done. And if there's too many controls and you have less time, it's possible you can do random sampling. You can pick out randomly from the 200, you can pick out, let's say, 20%, which would be 40 controls, but that's not really the recommended sequence, recommended procedure. What you should actually do is check each control and then agree on any action items for shortcomings, anything that could have been missed. And it's important to discuss and understand the controls marked by the IT team as not applicable or not possible in your environment. And understand the reasoning, verify the dependencies, if any, of a particular control may require an approval, it may require a functionality which is not present, and it may require business approval, for example. And challenge the IT team view wherever appropriate. That means that the information security team should challenge the IT team. And then we have to remove the errors. IT team to remove any shortcomings or omissions in the control implementation, and IT team reports back to information security team when all the shortcomings are fixed. So then it's time to confirm the validation, and the information security team schedules another session with IT team to confirm that all the shortcomings, all the snags, whatever has been missed in the checklist has all been done now. And the information security team adds a confirmation column at the end on the extreme right side, and they would mark off that all the controls have been implemented. So as part of the confirmation of the validation, there's a status of validation that is communicated after this entire exercise has been done and the validation is completed. The status needs to be communicated to all the relevant IT teams and to the information security team managers or the ISMC as well. The records need to be updated to register the validation activity, and if there's a project tracking going on as part of project management and there's any update in the stats, the percentage validation completed or any KPI that needs to be updated, then we will do that. That's all that we have for this module. Thank you.